Yo, what's up guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, we're going to be doing a good old-fashioned tier list of ranking every single team in the 2020 World Cup in terms of where I see them as, not just as a team, but in terms of expectations through the country. Do I think that they will perform well in the World Cup, or just the fact they've even made it to the World Cup in itself is an achievement for some people? Have they overachieved? Have they underachieved? Do I think they'll do worse than what they really should? And tell me down below in the comments, what is your top 2 best teams in the tournament and your bottom 2 worst teams, but purely ranked based on expectation of what you think they'll do. Yes, I'm wearing Spain, but I'm English and I live in Poland, so I guess those are my 2 biases, I guess. So just to reiterate, this is not ranked purely on do I think the team is good. This is more ranked based on expectation of fans, and also alongside that, the general kind of like quality of the team and how they play tactically, their form going into the tournament and all that good stuff, right? So let's go. Yo, do you play FIFA 22? Yeah. Is your team bang average? You absolute pathetic piece of... You're saying that to the viewers? No, obviously. Ah, okay. I mean you. Do you face teams like this? You can't keep getting away with it! Do you know there's a way to get coins? Why are you shouting at me? Then go to userbuy.com for the cheapest and most reliable place to buy your coins on FIFA 22. Link is down below in the description, and also use code Vizeh at checkout to get a discount. So here you go, here's all the teams. Now, of course, there's the teams that haven't been completely confirmed, such as likes of Wales, Scotland, Ukraine, and the Australias and New Zealands and Perus and Costa Ricas, right? So I put in what I think is most likely. So I put in Costa Rica in there, which I think they are very likely to go through. I put in Peru, as I think they are also very likely to go through. Sorry to all my Aussies and Kiwis. And I put in Scotland because I don't know, I just thought it to be funny. If I would pick, I'd probably say that Wales is probably most likely to go through, or Ukraine, but Scotland would just be funny. So, yeah, I picked Scotland for the vibes, really. So, I do apologise if you're Welsh. I think you'll probably make it through, but I put Scotland in there. You know how our tier lists work. S, A, B, C, D, ranked and based on terms of, you know, how I see the country and the kind of general vibes they got right now and how I see them. So, let's start off with a team with a decent level of vibes right now. A team which I think are doing really well, and I put in right now the vibes currently at Canada. I am massively rated. I think more of an A. Could maybe even be an S. They went into the qualifiers, I believe, 9 games unbeaten, which is, in any qualifiers, is very hard to achieve. And yes, you may say yes, but it's only against, you know, America, Mexico, you know, likes of Costa Rica, the likes of Panama. But home and away, you know, when you play against those kind of teams away from home, it's very, like, tough. And home and away, they performed very well. But with Canada, the feeling with them, I massively like. I like the feel-good factor of them. I like the fact that it's their first World Cup since, I think, 1986. And all around, with their group as well, I think that most fans will just be happy to be a part of it. But I think they can go further. I think for me, they are my dark horses, because even though they probably shouldn't, because, you know, their team, oh no, probably hasn't got the most amount of experience, I just like them. I can't really put my finger on it. I just like the feeling of it, and that's my gut instinct right now. So I say Canada, I'll put in A right now. Let's go for a team which is more closer to my heart, which is where I live. I live in Poland. I'll start off with Poland here as well early on, and I put them in like a C. They didn't really go through to the World Cup in comfortable fashion. Beating Sweden is good. However, you know, they kind of had to like get a bye by Russia, and in the group stage they did get a draw against England. But right now in Poland, it kind of feels like it's just like, from the people that I know, they're kind of just happy to be there. They've not really got any real hopes of really making it through past the group stage, and they know that Lewandowski is really their only real asset. They've not got much pace in their team. They kind of play more like a Burnley. Honestly, I'm a Burnley fan. I live in Poland. I watch Poland a lot. They play like a Burnley, with the fact they play a bit more direct. And yeah, Matty Cash is new to them, and he's seen as one of their, you know, ideal like best players. And Poland, like, I think they're just happy to be here, not gonna lie. Let's go for Switzerland. Switzerland are a weird team. They're almost like, I'll put them in B, because it feels like Switzerland, they'll do decent against any team that's like around their level. They'll probably get a result. But then when it comes to like a bigger team, like a Spain, like a Italy, they'll probably lose the game. You know, but then they knocked out France in the last Euro. So it's like, Switzerland are just a very hard team to beat. It feels like, I don't know why I picked all teams in, red and white, but I just did, right? I think they're tougher than what some people suggest. Like, England beat them in the friendly of the day, and people were acting like it's just like another easy team. Switzerland are not an easy team. Good midfield, Shaqiri, and even Xhaka is a different animal for them, and Brewer and Bolo, he's doing well for them, and they got the likes of a good defense with Akanji as well, and Sommer. I don't want to use this reference, but they're like a Swiss Army knife. They're good at like a bit of everything. They're good at defense and midfield and also attack. They're decent all around. So yeah, I'll say B for them. Portugal. I'm gonna go with Portugal. I'm gonna put Portugal in like a B. I think they're a B. I think they could even be a C. Like, on paper, their team is debatably the best team, like, right now. For the, like, strongest 11 goals, they are pretty much, comfortably top 3 best teams right now, I feel like. All-round defense, midfield, attack. I think, they've got experience, they've got youth players, they've got, like, a perfect balance of everything. But it feels like for some reason, maybe it's a system, maybe it's manager, but it just doesn't seem to really work. And the fact they couldn't even make it out of the group with Serbia in it shows that they're still a weak side. For me anyway, I think they're there for the taking. At the Euro, I think they lost 4-1 to Germany. Like, they are prone to leaking goals, and I don't know what the issue is. Maybe there's like a lack of like proper DMs in there. Sometimes for likes of João Moutinho, Ruben Neves, maybe it's too much for them to handle like themselves. Maybe they're too attacking. But yeah, with Portugal, I've not got a good feeling because I just feel like it's just not going to work tactically for them. I think they're shaky, and I think they're prone to an upset. So I'll put them in B. Iran. For me, I'll put Iran in A. I think Iran are nowhere near as bad as what people are saying they are. In other tournaments, they've done pretty well. Like back in 2018 World Cup, they beat Morocco 1-0. They held Portugal to a 1-1 draw. And also, they only lost 1-0 to Spain in the World Cup. And even in the World Cup before that, back in 2014, they only just lost to Lionel Messi, Argentina, in the 93rd minute by a goal by Messi. Okay, they almost held Argentina to a 0-0 draw as well. Iran are a good side. They've not lost in the last 3 years, I think. Granted, they only play teams around them, so they may not be the best level. And that team they lost to was South Korea, who isn't exactly a bad side to begin with as well. I don't know. I feel like with Iran, they're a very solid defensive unit. They all work together. So I think with Iran, are they beatable? Yeah, they're beatable, but I don't think it's anywhere near as easy as what people like to think it is. I think with Iran, when it comes to tournaments like this, and especially when it's around their region, as you're held in Qatar, they know the climate so well. I feel like that may play a bit more of a factor as well. So I'll say an A for Iran. And again, before people get annoyed, I'm not saying that Iran are a better team than Portugal. It's just general feeling of the team right now in terms of expectations. Argentina has to be an S. Has to be. This is it now. This is it really for Lionel Messi. I think by the time next World Cup is here, I don't think, he'd be like 38, could still be playing, but I don't think he'd be at the same level. This is realistically the last World Cup for Messi to be in, and Argentina has not lost a single game since 2019. And that was against Brazil. And teams in South America, home and away, are very tough. Of course, you've got Brazil, you've got Uruguay, you've got the likes of Ecuador, Colombia, Chile. These are tough nations. These are tough nations that's done big scalps in past World Cups against teams. After the back of winning the Copa America, I think that they are in strong stead to do well in this World Cup. When you look at a team, you may think that defensively especially, may not look that good, and maybe that's where they may end up lacking. The last loss is 3 years ago, and I cannot look at that and think, okay, I got to put you guys an S. And they also just won Copa America, and also the feeling that it's the last World Cup for Lionel Messi almost. I think that may push them to go quite far in this tournament. What team would I put in D? Like, what team would I put in D that I feel like there's just kind of like no real good vibes? There's not really much going on in terms of expectations, and I don't think they'll be doing that well in the World Cup. It's tough because I feel like no matter what I do, there'll be someone having a go at me. I go with Tunisia, right? And the reason why is that if I look at Tunisia in terms of their form, in terms of their team, I feel like with Tunisia, they're just, we'll look at the recent form, right? In African Cup of Nations, that was like not that long ago, like literally like 3 months ago, right? They lost they lost to Mali, they lost to Gambia, they lost to Burkina Faso. Yes, they beat Nigeria, but they also had 10 men Nigeria. They also just scraped through Mali, like just scraped through 1-0 on aggregate in both legs. With their team, there's not really any like massive names, and you may say that may be helping them because you don't know much about them, so there's that element of like surprise with Tunisia. But I'm looking at their form, and I can't pretend to not look at the fact they are losing to teams which you would say other teams like Morocco are waltzing through quite comfortably. So for me, if I'm going to put one team in D, I think Tunisia may be going into the tournament with probably the least expectations. Let's go for another African nation. I'm going to go for Cameroon. I would say B. I'll say B. I think they got some good talent in there. Onana in goal, very solid. Toko Akambi, Abubakar, Choupo-Moting. They've got some decent players that's played experience in Europe. Their form going into the tournament, knocking out Algeria, which is a very, very tough team when it comes to African nations. They're pretty much the top of the heap, really. They knocked them out to be here, which is very, very impressive. In terms of form in the last year or so, they've only lost to the likes of Egypt and also Ivory Coast. They've beat every other team that you would expect them to beat, other than I think they got a draw against Rwanda once. There's something about the way that they qualified going through. I think Algeria scored in like the 100th and 16th minute, I believe, to go and like basically qualify them through. I remember I was on my phone, I was in bed, and I looked at the fact that Algeria scored, thinking, okay, that's it, done. They're in the World Cup. And then I woke up in the morning, I thought, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean Cameroon's gone through? Like, there's something about that I love, and I feel like Cameroon, and when it comes to a World Cup, I think they'll do something. So I'll put in for them a B. Mexico. Why did I put Mexico? This is a Mexico with the likes of Raul Jimenez up top. There's some new, fresh players in there. Of course, other notable names like Lozano or Alvarez or Araujo, the centre-back as well at Celta Vigo. Like, they've got some, again, decent players. I don't think they're the same level as they used to be. Raul Jimenez is a massive, massive help, as, we've gone from the days of, Chicharito to now going to Jimenez. So they qualified second, joint on points with Canada. So I don't think they're in C, but I don't want to put them in B again. I don't want another team in B, but I feel like with them, it's kind of like just so lukewarm, almost. Like, in the last few big games that Mexico's played against USA, and they drew and then lost 2, I believe. So in like the big games when like there's pressure on, they've kind of not performed. So I want to put them in a C. I feel like with Mexico, they got Jimenez, which I think is big, but I look at the rest of the team and I just don't think it's as strong as what they used to have. And the form going into it, it's been good, but in terms of CONCACAF, it should be pretty good. So I'll put it in C. Don't forget, this is the same Mexico team that lost to Wales only a year ago. Oh, let's go Serbia. Serbia's an S, man. They're an S. They've got to be. The vibes they have now is incredible. It's immaculate, okay? Vlahovic, got Mitrovic, got Tadic. They qualified first in a group with Portugal in it. Kostic, Milenkovic, okay? They've got some good players, experience in Europe. And Milenkovic-Savic, I almost feel about the team. I think they're a proper team. I think the form and the expectation right now with them, it's just all pulling in the same direction. I love it right now, I can't lie. I think they'll do something. I think they'll cause an upset. The only thing with Serbia is that I feel like they've got that element of inconsistency. I guess that's my main concern, that they can be inconsistent. They could just drop the ball and just have like a poor defensive performance. That may be the one thing that I think could go against them, but I don't know, man. I like them. I like their team. I like what they're doing, and I think this is probably Serbia's best chance. Let's go with Denmark. Let's go with the Danes. I think Denmark, comfortable A. Could be maybe even an S, with the emotion behind, Christian Eriksen back with them. I saw them when they won, I think, 4-0 last week. Actually, they beat Serbia 3-0 last week, actually, I just saw that. They lost 4-2 to Netherlands, they lost 2-0 to Scotland, actually, which I forgot that even happened. Yeah, that did happen, actually. Great team that works in the same direction, and they've got some good international pedigree to get results when it really matters. So I feel like Denmark, they're in an easy A. Japan, let's go Japan. I think with Japan, they've got Spain and Germany in their group, which is a real shame. They qualified second in their region, which is behind Saudi Arabia. And in terms of their actual qualifiers, they lost to Oman, but other than that, pretty standard. They only lost to Saudi Arabia, that's it. And they also drew to Vietnam as well. And the last time they faced a European team was Serbia, and they beat them actually 1-0. So I feel like with Japan, they aren't bad. They're not a bad team. I think with their group, and I look at the team, they got Kubo, they got Minamino, they got Yoshida still at the back. I think they have some lads that's at Celtic as well. I don't know, man. I think with Japan, I'll put them in C. I think the reason why is mainly because of their group. They've got decent form going into it, but their region as well is hard to really tell. It's been such a long time since I played a team which is in Europe, which is Serbia. I feel bad because I like Japan in the World Cups, but I think with them, I just I just see a C. Let's go for the African nation of Senegal. They're an S for me. African Cup of Nations win, going through against Egypt on penalties in laser circumstances. Okay, let's not forget about that. But hey, they still went through. They still won African Cup of Nations. They've been in great form in the last 2 years, and with the team and the players that they have, some great talent in there. Not just Sadio Mane, but even more than that. Edouard Mendy, for example. I mean, that's massive. Koulibaly at the back as well. They got like sort of Islam Sarr up top. They got Idrissa Gana Gueye. They've got some proper quality European pedigree players. Kayute, Keita Balde as well. So I think with their group, with the form they have, with the team they have, the experience, and just the all-around general vibes that they have as a nation, they're an easy S. I think that they, especially their group, in Group A with Qatar, with Netherlands in there, Ecuador, they can realistically make it through to the round of 16 quite comfortably. Like, you could imagine that easily. Belgium. Belgium's a weird team. Because I feel like, because of like the golden generation hype, you know, there's been so much about Belgium and all the players they have, and that they should be doing this, they should be doing that, and they don't really perform in these big tournaments. They haven't, you know, like they've done a decent amount and they have that one big game and they may go through it and then it's the next one and they usually always get knocked out. Like in the Euros, beat Portugal but then get knocked by Italy. In the World Cup, beat Brazil but then can't beat France. I feel like they can do that first big game and then it's the next big game, and I feel like then for some reason it just doesn't work out for them. Their team is still really good defensively, maybe their weak points, but I don't know. I feel like with Belgium, they're running out on time to get that big tournament done. So they're still in an A. I just don't think it's an S for Belgium. I feel like there's still that question mark of can they do it? And maybe it's on the manager, maybe it's on Roberto Martinez. But for them, it's an A. I feel like they've got, of course, probably the best. They've got one of the best teams, but maybe the way that they play may not be working out. I mean, in recent games, they drew to Wales, they drew to Ireland, they've lost to Italy and France in those games. They beat Estonia and Burkina Faso and Belarus and Czech Republic in the last 6 games. I feel like they're still not the complete product that they want them to be. I'll keep them in A, ahead of Portugal, but I think there's still questions there. Let's do Peru. Peru is between Peru, Australia, or United Arab Emirates. I think, realistically, it'll be most likely Peru. So we'll just put them in there. And again, probably for Peru, it's probably a C. I feel like because they've gone through in the playoffs, when it comes to CONMEBOL, it's very tough. Like, it's so tough. The different ranges of tactics and teams and styles you got over there, and altitudes as well. It's very, like, tough conditions over in CONMEBOL. So I don't want to use that against them too much. But they have lost to the likes of Bolivia in qualifiers, draw to Panama's and draw to Ecuador's, and they've scraped in, you know, very much here. They've lost 8 times. I think they're probably more in D. Like, they've lost 8 times in qualifiers, and they're still somehow, you know, in the World Cup. I mean, with Australia, but realistically, they should be beating Australia. If Australia makes it through, then Jesus Christ, something's gone wrong there, because I've seen the Australia team, I've seen them play football against Japan, and they're not good. When you look at the Peru team, there's no one that really pops up to you, similar to like Tunisia, and again, there maybe be like a factor of surprise of you don't know what you're going to get, but yeah, with Peru, I feel like they've probably got the lowest expectations. And while I said France, let's just do France. I mean, it should just be an easy S. It should be an easy S. You know, they won the last World Cup. However, there is that weird, like, curse that's on the holders of the World Cup. It happened in the last 3 different World Cups. The winners of the previous one cannot even make it out the group stage. Germany back in 2018, Spain back in 2014, Italy back in 2010. Like, it's a common thing. That's why part of me thinks, could there be something that can maybe go wrong with France? And you think, surely not. But we never thought that with Germany. We never thought that with Spain. No one thought that they're going to not even go out the group stage. So part of me kind of has that weird element of, I mean, maybe there's something in it. And in terms of their recent form, I mean, the last couple of games, they've won quite a lot, to be fair. They've won several amounts. But then in 21, you know, after the Euros, they had a bit of a shaky spell. They drew to Ukraine. They also drew to Bosnia. In the Euros, they drew to Hungary, and, you know, they drew to Portugal, and they got knocked out by Switzerland, bro. So, like, I don't know. There's something about France that really puts me off. They lost to Finland back in 2020. So I don't know, there's something weird about them, bro, and they got a pretty tough group. They only just beat Ivory Coast, which England beat comfortably. They beat them just in the 90th minute by Chouamani goal. So I think with France, I think they're in the same group as like Belgium. I don't know. There's something about France, and this may bite me in the arse. However, I'm going to use history of the last 3 teams that's won it has had a curse and just couldn't make it out of group stage. And the fact that in their recent form in the last year, they've not been too comfortable. Like, they've drew to teams and lost to many teams that you would think would be easy just rollovers. So I'll use the information I have, even though their team is insane and debatably is the best team in the tournament, I'll put them in A. I just feel like with them, they again can be shaky. Ecuador's in C. They're in C, man. In the last 5 games, they've won none. But they also did draw to Brazil and also to Argentina. But then lost to Paraguay as well, which is kind of weird, but drew to El Salvador. Their team is better than Peru, so I think they're in C. But in CONMEBOL, 7 wins, 6 losses, 5 draws. I mean, I don't know. They did a bit better than Peru, but not that much, so I'll put them in C. Saudi Arabia, where would I put these guys? I think it has to be a C. Again, they topped their group when it comes to the AFC, the Asian World Cup qualifiers. They topped their group alongside Japan, same in points. But if I look at the Arab Cup, that was actually like 5-6 months ago, they were in a group with Jordan, Morocco, and Palestine, and they were joint bottom. They drew to Palestine and lost to Jordan and got beat by Morocco. But before that, they were doing really well. They were comfortably winning games in their region. The last time Saudi Arabia faced a team that wasn't from that region, it was Jamaica, and they lost to Jamaica, but then they also beat Jamaica, so back-to-back. And in the last World Cup, they lost to Russia 5-0, and they beat Egypt at least. So, yeah, I feel like Saudi Arabia, I think that they're probably going to be performing worse, I think, out of these lots. I think they'll do worse in Japan, personally. Ghana. You know what? I'm looking at their form, and again, I'm so confused on how they even made it to this World Cup. I'm looking. They've won 1 game out of their last 8. Drew to Ethiopia, drew to Gabon, lost to Comoros, and lost to Morocco in the African Cup of Nations. They also just scraped through on away goals because the Nigerian keeper had an absolute howler in the second leg. In terms of the group for the African qualifiers, they were in the same group as South Africa, and they just scraped through literally on goal difference. Actually, I think it was based on the fact they literally just scored 1 more goal than South Africa. Like, they was on same goal difference, same points, but I think because they scored 7 goals and South Africa scored 6, that's how they went through. It is wild. I don't know how a team that's won 1 in the last 8 games has been in the World Cup is now in the World Cup. But I mean, fair play to Ghana. If you look at their team, they got some decent players, some European pedigree. They've got Kudus, they've got Partey, of course. They've got the likes of Dijuku at centre back as well, and Marty. For some reason, everything says to me they should be in D. But I don't know, there's something about Ghana in World Cups that I feel like they're just going to do something. I don't know why. Something about them in World Cups just gives me some weird idea that they're going to do something. So I'll put them in C, not in D. I'll put them in between Mexico and Poland. Costa Rica. Now, of course, Costa Rica are not in yet. They have to still beat New Zealand. I think it's just between those two, Costa Rica and New Zealand. Between those two, I mean, it's like, I think 90% confident that it should be Costa Rica. Of course, it is still possible that, you know, New Zealand, they can do something, but I think it is unlikely. So I was putting Costa Rica. I don't know why, but there's something about Costa Rica that I feel like, as an Englishman especially, because of what happened back in 2014, I think it's my duty to respect them. I think I have to, otherwise I'm doing something wrong. They've gone in some weird form. They've been unbeaten in the last 7 games, but before that, they also didn't win a game in 6. And they drew to likes of Honduras were absolutely god-awful in the qualifiers. They also drew to the likes of Panama, drew to El Salvador, and then even before that, they didn't win a single game in I think 10 games. It's really not good, and that was all back in 21. Right now, doing some good form, but they were absolutely atrocious a year ago, so it's a weird team to really call. They got Keylor Navas in goal, very good goalkeeper, and a good goalkeeper is a massive help, because if you've got a poor keeper, then you're already starting poorly. But they've got a good keeper, which is a big help for them, because I think, you know, that will be a big factor. They play with a 5-back, so they're going to be just trying to just hold for, 0-0 draws, I think, but they just beat USA with that. If you look at the team, there's not an awful lot of European experience in there, other than literally just Keylor Navas. I think that's really it. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm trying to look through it. Of course, there's Joel Campbell, which I think is just on the bench nowadays. Maybe I'm wrong. Brian Ruiz is still there, and Brian Oviedo is still there as well. If I wasn't English, I may put them in D, but because I'm English, I think I have to respect them a little bit. So I'll put them in C, around the I think they'll be below Mexico, right? So I'll say C. Spain. For me, I'm going to put Spain in B. I'll put Spain in B. I'm going to do it because I feel like with Spain, they've still not got that killer up top. They've still not got that guy that's going to bang in the goals guaranteed, that clinical attacker. Got Dani Olmo, got Morata, got the likes of Ferran Torres, Ansu Fati, nice players. I don't think any of them is that real clinical player. Got a very good midfield, Marcos Llorente, Thiago, Koke, great talent in there defensively. Pedri as well, I've got Pedri and Gavi. They got some great, incredible talent, technical talent. I look at it and I don't really see the clinical striker, the clinical like finisher of a football. You know what I mean? I see a lot of creators and not the finisher. If that makes any sense to me. So I think that when it comes to the big game, I just don't think they can score that many goals. They'll create other chances. I just don't think they'll be scoring them. This may be a really out there shout, and I may look dumb. I understand I may look dumb, but that's how I see Spain, and a lot of wonderful talent, a lot of creators. But in terms of actually putting the ball in the back of the net, I don't think they have that clinical edge. And feel free, go and call me stupid. Please, I get it, right? Because it looks stupid, right? To put them below Iran, right? And kind of doing whatever else. However, we saw it in the Euros. They drew to Poland. They drew to Sweden. They beat Slovakia 5-0 after Dubravka punched the ball in the back of his own net to make it 1-0. Once he scored the first 2 goals, then it's easy. Then it's happy days. They made a storm through them. But I think when the game is tough, I don't think that they have it. The Netherlands. Okay, so the first time back in the World Cup since 2014. Of course, they missed out back in 2018 as well. So they're back in the World Cup now. Back in the Euros, got knocked out by Czech Republic. However, did do quite well before that. Like, they had a strong team, and they drew to Montenegro, bro. And also, they also drew to Germany. So I feel like Netherlands are still by no means the finished product. I kind of see Netherlands in the same way that I see Spain in a way. However, I think they've got a better defense in Netherlands, and technical wise I don't think they're as good as Spain. I kind of see them in the same light almost, but I kind of feel like there's a bit more of like a positive energy with Netherlands, if that makes any sense. I think there's a bit more going on at Netherlands. I'll put them in A. Definitely not in S, because I still think they've still not got that clinical edge. The attack force is your Depay and Marlon and Bergwijn and maybe Danjuma maybe. The midfield is great technically, you know, Wijnaldum, De Jong and maybe Klaassen in there. Can't see a proper like solid like CDM like gritty guy middle. But defensively, De Ligt and also Van Dijk, I mean, that's a good pairing. And Dumfries, good attacking right back as well, right wing back. They're an A for me comfortably, but on the lower end of A. Again, I must say, I don't think Canada is better than them. I think just the form going into it, the vibes, and how I see the team right now and how I think they can do in comparison to expectations, I think they can be an A. Let's go to Host Nation. Let's go with Qatar here. And Qatar is a weird one because they've actually been much better than what you would think. Many people just have no idea about Qatar football, and to be fair, I'm not going to act like I'm a professional either. But, you know, just keep an eye on them with the Arab Cup, with their friendlies. They actually have not got that bad of a team, even though they've not got many, like, your world-renowned, like, your players that you would think of. In the Arab Cup, they did quite well, made it to the semi-finals, and they also beat Egypt in the third-place playoff. They got knocked out by Algeria, so they did quite well there. They just played Slovenia in a friendly, like, just now, and they drew 0-0, and also beat Bulgaria 2-1, so they're beating European teams. But sadly, in 21, they did play some more European teams and didn't do well. They didn't win a single game in like 8. Drew to Azerbaijan, lost to Serbia 4-0, lost to Ireland 4-0, lost to Portugal 3-0, drew to Luxembourg, won Luxembourg. I think against Ecuador in that first game of World Cup, I think they can possibly get results. I think they will. I just think the likes of Netherlands and possibly also Senegal, maybe too much, but I think they'll beat Ecuador. And for that alone, I think that could be in B. In terms of expectations for Qatar, really, they're just going to be happy just to get like a result of any kind. And I think that's possible. I think Ecuador is a team. You know, first game of tournament in your home nation. I think that does play a factor. And I'll say it'll be a B. I think they can get a result at least. We saw how well Russia did, you know, in their World Cup, and they should not have gone that far, but they did. And that's a big factor being the host nation. And keep in mind as well, you know, if we go back to the Korean World Cup back in 2002, there was potentially some foul play done there, and we're in Qatar, and we know how they possibly got this as well. So just keep an eye on the referees and the VAR. That's all I'm going to say. Let's just do Scotland, because, I mean, I picked Scotland because I thought it'd be funny. Now I'm kind of thinking it probably should be Wales, who's probably the more likely, or Ukraine. But let's just do Scotland. Scotland, I think they'll just be happy to be there. I think just them alone being there will be like a happy day. So if Scotland made it into a World Cup, that's an S. Like, if Scotland's there, that'd be an S for them. They'll just be happy to be in the same group with England just to have that day. And if they get a result against us, even like a draw, that'd be enough for them, I think. I kind of really hope that Scotland makes it through, because I just think that'd be really funny. Like, because I know many Scots and they're good lads, honestly. They absolutely hate England Scots, but I kind of like that about them. I've realised that this video may be a long time, but I hope that you guys find this video somewhat interesting, and giving you guys a bit of an update of where these teams are at, their form going into the tournament. So yeah, so let's do Morocco. Morocco knocking out DR Congo in the final game to be here and beating them 4-1. Big names that you may know, likes of Hakimi, likes of Amrabat, likes of Saiz from Wolves, Massinas, Sufyan Boufal. Morocco has Croatia, Belgium, and also Canada as well. I kind of think Morocco, they can do something. I think they can do something, even though Morocco's been in relatively good form in the last 2-3 years. They've only lost to Egypt, Algeria, and that's it. Their last win before that was back in 2019 to Gabon. Cool, I'll say in B. I'll say in B for them. I think that's, form-wise, a team that they have, they've got some experience in there, and Hakimi is a big factor as well, I can't lie. So I'll say in the low end of B. Let's go for the Germans. The Germans, of course, being knocked out of the last World Cup in the group stage. They're going to want to try to have some sort of revenge, of course, being knocked out by England in the Euros as well. They've got a lot to make up for, I feel like. Since the Euro loss to England, they've won every single game other than the last one against Netherlands. Okay, they've won every single game, but they have faced relatively, comfortable opposition. I think the hardest team out of them lot is potentially Romania. The thing is with Germany, they got Hans Flick as well as the new manager. They got a brand new manager, a brand new kind of play style, and a bit more of a different looking, a German team than what we used to see. The team just put out the likes of Timo Werner, Musiala, Kai Havertz, midfield of Muller, Gundogan, Leroy Sané. Defensively is where I'm mainly concerned with Germany. Attack is amazing. Midfield is also very good as well. It's just the defense. You got Rudiger, Kerrer. They're playing a back three, so I feel like defensively that may be their main concern. Hence why they do play with a 5-back, 3-4-3 system, which they use the wide players to track back as well. But don't forget they've got Kimmich as well. They got Gnabry. They got maybe even Gozens as well. Great players all around. I'll say they're an A. I don't think they're an S, because just mainly defensively. I think A's being quite nice, because don't forget, in the Euros, not only did they lose to England, but they also drew to Hungary as well. But they are a different team, so it's kind of hard to judge. So I'll put them in A. Croatia, of course, runners-up of the last World Cup. Are they the same team that they were back in 2018? Pretty much. Other than Mario Mandzukic, it is essentially the same team that they had back in 2018 World Cup. They've got fantastic, versatile players all around. So as a team, they pretty much are the same that they used to have. The last time they lost was the last game of the Euros, which they also lost 5-3 to Spain in knockouts. In the group stage, lost to England, drew as well to Czech Republic and beat Scotland. Before the Euros, they drew to Armenia and lost by Belgium. I feel like with Croatia, they are still a great team, and also in terms of their group in Morocco, Canada, and Belgium, they're going to be very hopeful of making it past through the group stage. So I think right now, good vibes around Croatia. Probably an A for Croatia. The entire country will still be on that World Cup fever. Do I think they will go that far again? Probably not, but they'll have a laugh. Uruguay, Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani, it's like the same team that we always get each time, and Uruguay are always a very, very tough team to beat. They just always are. In terms of coming aboard, they've not done the greatest, really. They've lost to Bolivia, and they lost to Bolivia 3-0 with also a very strong team. They didn't have Cavani or Suarez, but they had mainly everyone else in midfield and defence as well. They qualified out to CONMEBOL with 6 losses, 8 wins and 4 draws. They came third above Ecuador in the last Copa America. They drew to Chile. They got knocked out by Colombia, but at least beat Bolivia and Paraguay there. But in last World Cup, they always perform. They beat Portugal. They knocked out Portugal. Only got knocked out by France. There's no shame in that. I feel like it'd be dumb for me to underestimate Uruguay. I'll put them in B, because I don't think the team is the same as it used to be, but it is still Uruguay in the World Cup, and I feel like they are always dangerous. So I'll put them in B. I don't think they're in A, but they're definitely a B. Let's do South Korea here. Hard to judge. I'll be honest, very hard to judge, because really with Korea, they've only lost once in qualifier, and that was to the United Arab Emirates. The last time they faced a team in Europe was Moldova and Iceland, and they beat Iceland 5-1. Iceland really fell off. But that was back in 2020, essentially, so been a long time, really. Last World Cup being knocked out in group stage, but of course beating Germany. They're in the same group as Uruguay, Portugal, and Ghana, so it's a group that, it's not impossible to get out of, but it'd be tough, really. In terms of their team, they've got, of course, Hwang Hee-chan, they've got, of course, Heung-min Son, they've got Jae Sung Lee, which also some notable European players right now. Of course, Son's the main one. C, comfortably. I don't think they're in the Bs. Yeah, Korea C. The US. Let's do the USA, man. I feel like I'm scared to put them anywhere because I feel like I actually kind of feel like if I put them anywhere lower down, then it's just going to jinx it and they'll beat us. In qualifiers, they lost 3 games, drew 4, won 7 in the CONCACAF, and they also lost the likes of Costa Rica, lost to Canada. The one issue with America is their away form. Away form is absolutely like diabolical. Costa Rica, lost. Mexico, draw. Canada, lost. Jamaica, draw. Panama, lost. Honduras, win. El Salvador, draw. But they at least won the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup, they beat Mexico in extra time as well. So they got, at least in terms of big game experience, they showed up and they beat Mexico at least. For me, it's just that away from home, they really are poor. And this entire tournament is in Qatar, which is a bit different. All the love for being the likes of Reina and Pulisic and maybe even like the likes of Tyler Adams as well. Weston McKennie and Dest as well. They've got some good young players. Maybe this is a tournament too soon for them. I feel like with USA, they're probably in C. Do I think they'll do better than Mexico? In terms of the groups that they are in, potentially. They could really, ideally, be in second place. In terms of their groups, I'll put them in B. Iran, I think, is tougher than what people think. And Scotland, if they are there, they'll just be happy to be there, right? So I think USA, they could actually, it is possible to imagine them going out of the group and qualifying through. So I'll put them in B. Only 2 left here, England and Brazil. I will go and put Brazil in S alongside Argentina, and I'll put England also in S as well. I'll start off with Brazil. It's pretty simple. They're #1 most ranked team in the world, and they haven't lost in God knows how long. They've gone through the entire qualifiers without a single loss, top of qualifiers as well, above Argentina. They scored the most goals by far, 13 goals more than Argentina. They conceded the least goals. They conceded only 5 goals in the entirety of CONMEBOL. That is 17 games. That is incredible, may I say. I don't think people actually understand how hard that is to do. Brazil are serious. They're serious, man. Yes, Brazil lost in the Copa America, but before that, the last loss was, again, to Argentina back in 2019. They did have a rough spell back in 2019, but yeah, they've lost only 1 game in a span of 3 years. And the stats speak for themselves. So Brazil, easily possibly the top team for just the general performances, the all good vibes of the team, the expectations. I feel like with their group, they should also make it through and potentially also make it far. Brazil's probably #1 for me. I put England in last, and this is why. In terms of in the last 2 major tournaments, you know, we've made the semis and final. In the last tournament, we were by far the best defensive team in the entire tournament. We had 7 games, conceded 0 goals in open play, only conceded 2, and that was in the last 2 games, semi and also the final. We've not lost a single game in 90 minutes. We only lost on penalties, right? And we drew in extra time too. So we never lost in 90 minutes, didn't concede a single goal in open play, and the only 2 goals we did concede were off both set pieces, right? A free kick, which is, you know, damn Scott, incredible, and also Benucci from a corner, right? And qualifiers weren't like the best, you know, 8 wins, 2 draws, a draw to Hungary, and also a draw to Poland as well. Only conceding 3 in the entirety of qualifiers. Our last loss in 90 minutes was against Belgium in the Nations League, which was back in November 2020. I think with the nation right now, with how the team is going, I feel like with our group as well, you know, it's likely that we should potentially make it to the quarters with what the expectation is. I mean, depends who you ask. Some will say we should win the entire thing. Some may say that we'll be happy with quarters. I guess as it stands, it's likely that we could face a France in the quarters and like a Senegal in the round of 16. So if we do get knocked out by France, then there's no shame in that. But right now, statistically, one of the best teams in the world, especially defensively. But you may say that we've not faced the right opposition. But the one thing I will say about international games, just because the team is not seen as the same level, doesn't mean really anything. France got knocked out by Switzerland. Spain got knocked out by Russia in World Cup. Germany got knocked out by Sweden and also by Korea. They got knocked out by Korea in the World Cup, man. Yes, we may have been facing easier teams, quote unquote, but Germany, they lost to North Macedonia. Italy, who we lost to in the final of the Euros, they lost to North Macedonia. In that theory, North Macedonia is the best team in Europe. You know, so I feel like with Southgate, he deserves a bit more respect. Anyway, that is my final ranking of every single team in the World Cup. There's also Ghana and Poland here if you cannot see them properly. So yeah, tell me your thoughts down below. This is a long video. This was me trying to like go in depth, giving you guys a bit more of an insight of the teams and how the qualifiers was and really where they stand. Again, we like Scotland and Peru. Peru and Costa Rica should be almost assured to really go through. No offense if you're like an Aussie or a Kiwi, but let's be honest here. But yeah, any one of Ukraine, Scotland or Wales can be in S, because I think any of those lots will be happy to be in World Cup, and also have got a pretty reasonable group that they can imagine themselves getting out of. This one here could be any of Wales or Ukraine or Scotland, right? So that's how I feel about those guys. Tell me your thoughts down below. And yeah, it's a long video, this one, so hope you guys did enjoy. I will see you guys next time for another video. And yeah, boys, stay safe.